In 1995, the world united in Beijing for the Fourth World Conference on Women, a defining moment that produced the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. This bold transformative agenda declared once and for all that women's rights are human rights. 30 years later, the global community prepares to mark this milestone once again. Now, on 22nd September 2025, a high-level meeting of the United Nations General Assembly will be held in New York to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the Beijing Conference under the theme, Recommitting to Resourcing and Accelerating the Implementation of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action to Achieve Gender Equality and the Empowerment of All Women and Girls. This commemoration comes at a pivotal moment. Over the past 3 decades, we've seen real progress. More girls in school, greater access to healthcare, rising number of women in politics and leadership. Yet, these gains have not been equal or secured. The question, however, remains, are systems ready to support and sustain their leadership? As the world watches, reflects and prepares for Beijing Plus 30, the program asks the hard questions and challenges all of us to push beyond rhetoric into real measurable change. Thanks for joining us on Nigeria Today. I'm your carrier, Clinton. Now, with me in the studio to look at 3 decades of promises and progress, the story of the Nigerian women is Ene Ede. She's a social inclusion, communications, and wellness strategist. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much for inviting us.
Also with us, but via Zoom, is Mma Odi. She's a gender, human rights, governance expert. It's a pleasure to have you with us, Mma.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I'll start with you, Mma. 30 years of the adoption of the declaration, this Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. How would you assess the Nigerian commitment so far?
That's a very tall order. 30 years after Beijing, here we are. I can say we started well after Beijing, and there were efforts to ensure that women, especially rural women, were empowered. But in the process, we lost it. If we look at the scorecard today, the women are worst off. The gains we made, like for example, in year 2007 and year 2011 general elections, women actually, we had 27 women in Nigeria, Federal House of Representatives, Nigeria. Today we have barely 15. So the gains we made in the past, we have lost it. It will come to the health sector. Women are worst off. Nigeria is still the second highest globally of maternal mortality and child mortality. So you come to education, women have done well, not because government provided them special incentive. No, but families made sure they send their daughters to school, like what was before 1995. In the private sector, women have done well. They have pushed the frontiers. They have occupied the positions of leadership. If you look at the banking sector, women are in the majority. In the private sector, women have done very well. But coming home to the political participation, we have even lost the gains we made over the years. And that's why today we are asking for special seats so that women can, both the legislature and the executive and the judiciary will commence addressing the issue of historical injustice against Nigerian women. And if we want to move Nigeria forward, we have to look at the women's side. Nigeria was built to run on 2 engines, both men and women. And Nigeria has been running on 140 engine for so many years. And now it's about time for Nigeria to run on that engine and to get it right. Nigeria started well after independence, developing fast. Now we have gone back. We are being looked at as a failed state today because we lost it on the way. And the way to get it right is to allow Nigerian women to take their position in the table and turn things around. We saw it as a minister.
Thank you very much, Mma. We'll look at some of the issues you've raised there. Let's allow Ene here to add her own voice. Do you agree with what?
Very much so. You know, I was here laughing because the Amazon, what she has said is, she has said it in a very beautiful, very patriotic, and very generous manner. You know, when I was coming to the studio, first of all, let me say, charity, they say, begins at home.
Exactly.
Let me first of all say that one of the gains of Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action under Women and Media is NTA. No media organization, either print, radio, and television, have done for women what NTA is doing for women. You know, we'll talk about that when we
need applause
go into, yes. NTA has done really well, and NTA is doing very well for women. So it's one of the gains. It cannot be lost on us. We are eternally grateful for inviting us to come and do this review. You know, before I came to the studio, and I asked Chat GPT, one of the, for those who may not know, some of those in my age bracket, they don't know about artificial intelligence. You know, I just asked, I say, what are some of the major tangible results and impact of Beijing Conference for Nigerian women and girls particularly? And a few things Chat gave me was that policy and legal reforms, creation of institutional mechanisms, to improve access to education for girls. And our sister has said, the Amazon, the field marshal herself has said, look, it was the effort of parents and relations that have given us that result. It's not a deliberate policy to say, look, we must have better deal for women and girls. That's why you see that second chance education is disappearing. Then they say economic empowerment of women. Then they say advocacy and increased awareness that more civil society are doing more advocacy. Then they say legal and constitutional reforms. Then participation in politics.
Which means that even the AI recognizing the fact that Nigeria has also done something. Yes,
but not commensurate to the promises that have been made. You know, your report, your background information is so succinct, so strong, it's short, but very punchy. You captured everything. So even if somebody is just moving away after listening to that, you have an idea of what is going to be discussed. So looking at this, because AI is limited in so many ways. They don't understand the context. They don't also understand certain nitty-gritty. Certain information too is not there because we don't document. So I looked at a few of what has happened. I said, okay, let's take it from now and go into a bit of excursion into history. Now, the expectation is that because the sitting president, President Tinubu, had empowered women in the past, that it was given as taking that, look, he's going to empower more women in line with the national gender policy of 50-50. But we are not able to see that yet. I'm not discouraged though, because it's not yet late. Then we have also seen an opportunity for the Senate president. He just returned from a parliamentary meeting, and at the airport, they were asking him a lot of questions. And he just said, look, this thing is mandatory, they reserve seat. So that realization too, it means they are coming to increase realization that a lot need to be done. And what the Deputy Speaker and Speaker of the House of Assembly, National Assembly, they are doing on the reserve seat in terms of the Deputy Speaker sponsoring the bill with some other men and the Speaker himself championing it. You know the context. He is from Kaduna State, and you know the challenges we face as a country. So that alone will give you an idea that something new is going to happen. Kwara State Governor, he's the only governor in this country today, like my governor then in 1999, the SGF now, who produced the first female speaker in the whole of Nigeria. I had, I can't remember the number again, a number of women commissioners, when many other states didn't have one commissioner. But like Uma said, so how did this thing tumble suddenly? That with that consistent move, with the progress we made, how did we begin to regress? Like during head of state General Sani Abacha, go and check. We had the highest number of women as local government chair as well as councillors during his time. That's why the paper I published, we said women specially mourn General Abacha because of what he did. And you recall, it was during his time that the Ministry of Women Affairs was created. So that FIP, family support FIP, I think it was family something empowerment that has so many initiatives. So all we are saying is that progressively during President Jonathan, we had 13 female ministers out of 17. Why can't we have such now, even more? Can't we have 50-50?
Okay,
if we have it in gender
I'll have to stop you there so that, Ma will also
Thank you.
talk more. Ma, you have mentioned that, of course, Nigeria in the past had done so well. Yes. We started well, just like you said. And NA, of course, also corroborated that by, taking us back to even the time of the military era. Now, in your own, from your own perspective, what are the challenges or the barriers that you think we have faced that has brought us to this level where you said we ought to even move further than?
Okay, the major barrier we have faced is lack of political will. Because in year 2000, we have, that's 25 years ago, we have gender policy for inclusion. And we have not implemented that policy. It's government policy, it's not Maudi's policy. So it's lack of political will. And I'm happy that this 30 years after Beijing is happening now when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is in power, who actually have been promising to ensure women inclusion. And I think it's about time that he should do that. Even if he's not leaving any other legacy, he should leave a legacy of inclusion of women. Because it will help his government and it help him to achieve. Women will do the work. Women are the ones sustaining the society. In this economic meltdown, women are carrying the burden to ensure that so many men will come to work on Monday in Abuja because of transport costs. They will not go back to Nyanya or to Maraba or till the Friday. Then they will stay Monday, they come again. Women are the ones taking care of children, ensuring that the family feed. Now they are preparing to ensure that children go back to school. It's women. We have mastered the art of ensuring that society works. And we can do better when we are included in the governance. Nigeria will work, but only when women are allowed in the table. Then the barrier is lack of political will. It's no longer cultural, it's no longer tradition, it's no longer religious. When a woman is appointed in a position of authority, the whole church will celebrate, mosque will celebrate, imams will celebrate. They will even come and greet her and say, please remember us when you get there. So there is no religious, there is no tradition or no cultural impediments. And if you are addressing the issues of exclusion, this money politics has to be dealt with, because there is not, women cannot purchase votes because they don't have stolen wealth to purchase the vote. We have to destroy the money politics. We must allow women to get it, because women are passionate about the well-being and the development of the society. If you bring the women in on the table, insecurity will be a thing of the past, because no woman will sponsor insecurity in any part of country. Because the people who die in the process are their husbands and children. And the ones they rape are their daughters and their fellow sisters. So when the women come in, insecurity will go, economy will work, education and health system will function optimally. The road infrastructure will be put in place. because the majority of people who die in the road mishap are women who enter lekete vehicles because there's no money to hire good vehicles, and or there's no money to go by air. If women come to the table, they will use their experiences of the evil they have been to, of the wickedness they have seen and suffered. They will use it to make this society work. And let this society work in our lifetime. And it can only work when the women are on the table. Let this Beijing 30 years after be a wake up for all of us. Both the women, the civil society organizations, the media houses, and the executive and legislature. Let us work together and see that women are brought to the table and things will change. Thank you.
We'll take a short break now. The conversation will continue after the break. Don't go away.
Of the ruling is also dependent on another aspect or another arm of government.
Nowhere in the world will allow under digital economy for banks not to be dispensing domestic currency in that economy.
What will make this one different? We want to know what they do as occupation. All of these are attributes that our questions have been designed to investigate.
In a few days to come, you see that we are all around their own crannies and everywhere in Nigeria, telling people to cooperate.
Welcome to Nigeria Today. Welcome back. This is your Nigeria Today. We're looking at 3 decades of promises and progress, the story of the Nigerian women. And I have 2 women, one via Zoom and one here in the studio for this conversation. Now, and you heard what Mma is saying, you know, with so much passion. Now, let's talk about your role as CSOs and, of course, the women group. What role are they playing to drive accountability, you know, for Beijing promises?
Yeah, you see, all this while I have been privileged to be part of all the anniversaries, Beijing +5, Beijing +10, Beijing +15, Beijing +20, Beijing +25. It was only Beijing +30, the initial meeting in January, the CSW meeting, that I was not feeling too well. I was outside the country, I couldn't attend. So where Mma is coming from, they started when some of us were full-time housewives and were held down. They started as women in Nigeria. So they've come a long way before their own activism preceded Beijing declaration. So you can see the anger. You'll be wondering, what you have been doing for more than 30 years, why shouldn't it bring tangible results? Why will it continue to do like this, to go up, to crash? For example, if we talk about the institutional mechanism now for empowering women, the Ministry of Women Affairs. The Ministry of Women Affairs is why won't you make it a real human ministry? That it was Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development. They now decided to make it a Ministry of Women Affairs to be there with children. So why won't you make it big and make it professional? So it's quite annoying that you find civil servant leave, they take professionals out of the place. Instead, will you take just anybody to Ministry of Information? No. Will you take just anybody to Ministry of Finance or Ministry of Foreign Affairs, somebody who doesn't have background in diplomacy or international relations? So why don't you professionalize the Ministry of Women Affairs? So it's a concern. It's not enough to have it. That one alone is just a promise. It's not implementation. It's not making good the details of how giving it the power that it needs. Take, for example, the Maputo Protocol that we signed 21 years ago. They claim many of these other international frameworks, women empowerment frameworks, are foreign. What about the homegrown Maputo Protocol 21 years ago that has been described the most progressive human rights instrument that we ever had in the world? Not just in Africa, but we are lucky to have it. If you look at sections, Article 4, Article 14, Article 26, Article 23, 26, and 23, it speaks directly to women with disabilities, women of all ages, older women, and all that. And there is also the article that speaks to continuous MME, that is monitoring and evaluation and reporting. Nigeria keeps reporting every year at different fora, yet we are not seeing the commensurate increase in terms of what they are doing. Take, for example, during President Jonathan, we had women who started as combat. Some of them have gone very far now. We didn't have women in the combat this thing in the military, but now we have it. So why can't we make why can't we just have a first female spokesperson for the army? Does it make sense? So you can understand the anger of
Thank you very much, Ene. Thank you very much, Ene. I want to, you've talked, so much about, these implementations and not a lot of policies not being implemented. Now, a lot of African countries have been working. They've gone ahead of us. Yes. Take, for instance, Rwanda. We have Ethiopia and Cabo Verde. What lessons can we learn from these countries? Because it's no longer the Western world. This is the African continent you're talking about. These are fellow African countries. What lessons can we learn, to enable us to advance women's representation in politics and leadership?
Okay, I think that it's also heartwarming. Everything is not bad. To see that the people fighting for special seats in the Senate today and also in the House of Representatives are men, male honorable members and senators. It is heartwarming that they are waking up. One of them told us during their opening legislature week that they went to Kenya, and when they saw how women have been included and how things are working, that they shed tears, and they said they have to fight for Nigerian women to be brought to the table. So I think that the executive and the legislature and everybody, every hand must be on deck. I came here to Gombe to meet with university authority concerning training female students to get interested in politics in the student union. They asked us to go and meet the dean of gender studies. That's what they think. But and I told them we didn't come to meet the dean of gender studies. Actually, we came to meet the university authority. We will work together to ensure everything is okay, because it's no longer about being gender studies or anything. It's about the life of the society. If the women are brought to the table, this insecurity is going to 20 years old, and people have been wasted in the northeast, in the northwest, in the southeast. We need this on the board, and the only way to do it is to bring women. We have to consciously and consistently make effort to bring women to head different sectors of Nigerian leadership. And in that way, when Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala was the first person who told us how much they allocate to states and local government, and then we started asking questions of accountability, of delivery. We started asking.
Thank you, Ma. Now, in 30 seconds, just tell us what practical steps are needed to finally achieve and sustain 35% affirmative action.
It's just to say, look, like the Kwara State governor, he has gender, women 56%, women, youth, persons with disability 56%, men 44%. So, do you need to go to anywhere to go and understudy that? The SDF is there. Call him, call all these people who have done so well for women. What can we do at this national level? Yours look like a micro level. How do we do it at the macro level? It's very simple. It's just the determination that it is good. It will bring prosperity and freedom to a country called Nigeria. Finish. There's nothing like you want to go and understudy one atomic energy, something to come and implement. It's very simple.
Thank you very much. And social inclusion, communications and wellness strategy. Thank you so much for coming on the program and sharing.
My pleasure. Thank you, NTA, for always amplifying our voices.
Thank you. And also to you, Mao, the gender, human rights and governance expert. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your perspective with us. And thank you for being part of the program. I'm your carrier, Clinton. Goodbye.
the action never stops. So here we go with the flurry of exciting activities across the various sectors, from the release of Davido's music video featuring Omale to the announcement of the forthcoming BB Naija 2024 reunion.
If my son is not suitable, by then I'm taking him out of this place.
It's a wrap on this week's episode of the show. Let's do this again next week. Until then, be good, show love to somebody, and be your brother's keeper. I am Ikemba Williams.
The implementation